Hello and welcome back. I am Reverend Dr. Lori Williams. Today I'm going to answer a question that I get asked fairly often, and it is, how do I know if the message that I'm, thinking or like hearing in my head, how do I know if it's a gift, a potential gift, or if it's just my imagination? So the terminology I like to use is ego or higher self. Higher self, intuition, your gifts. I mean, they're really kind of one and the same. Um, your intuition is the channel in which your gifts come through, if that makes sense. So, obviously, step one of being able to bring your gifts through would be to build a relationship, a trust with your own intuition. And I've done a video on that recently. So, once you've gotten, you're getting on track with being able to trust your intuition, the intuitive guidance, you're going to notice one of two things. So the ego always comes from a place of fear, which stops you. I call it the deer in the headlights situation. It's like it just forces you to stop. You become frozen. You lack momentum. You're going to feel stuck. That's how you know that you're an ego. That is not a gift. That is pretty much the exact opposite, but it's still very much a part of who you are. So the higher self, the intuition, is always going to come from a place of love, and it's always going to spur you into action. And the reason why it's so important to make sure that you have both of these is because when you start doing mindset work and the ego basically catches on to what you're doing, it will start to design your fear to look like it's coming from a place of love. For example, especially around people that you love, it's like, oh, well, I'm doing this because I don't want to lose that person, or I'm doing this because, I want to keep that person safe. That's actually a fear-based thought. So that's not an intuitive thought at all. The truth of it is you don't have control over if people are staying on this earth or not. That is completely out of your realm, your scope of control. So, but you have a fear of losing them in some way, shape, or form. So that's definitely ego, but it could look like it's coming from a place of love. So that's why it's so important to also keep in mind that fear is going to force you to stop, where higher self is going to spur you into action. The other thing, what's one other way to know if it's a gift or not, is if it is for the best of everybody involved in the situation. So if there's you and someone else involved in the situation, for an example, if it's coming from your intuition, it's always going to be the best for everyone. It's literally going to be a win-win-win. And that's another way that you know that it's aligned. That's an aligned action is always going to come from your higher self. So it takes some time, especially to be able to, shift the old beliefs, the old patterns, and it takes some time to be able to recognize what is higher self versus what is ego. And I'm actually going to do a video in the very near future about how to deal with ego, because everybody wants to fight ego. And I don't know if you've ever tried to fight yourself, but you don't win. There's no winner in this. So the approach that I have is much, is much more effective in being able to have awareness around the ego rather than trying to fight it. So don't fight your ego. Just recognize it is there, and kind of just like move past it. If it's ego that's coming up. I never listen to ego. If I know it's ego, I actually go do the exact opposite thing it's telling me to do. But if it's higher self, and it feels that I have that alignment feeling, then of course I'm going to do it. But you don't always have to know what the bigger picture is. Most times you're not going to know what the bigger picture is. But if you feel like you have your own spiritual gifts, this is the best way to be able to tell, is it a gift or isn't it? It's your higher self is never going to lead you astray. It's never going to evoke fear onto you. So if it's coming from a place of love, it's got to be, or it could be a potential gift. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you back here next time.